Hello and welcome, my friends. Habbage here, and thrilled to be back for what will be 1.18 Eve. Are you guys fired up? Are you bouncing off the walls yet? Pretty excited. Pretty excited. But boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of digging to do to get fully ready. So, in the last few episodes, we uh, kill a bunch of dragons, basically. It wasn't a whole lot more, more or less to say. It was interspersed with some chores around the farm. We got some more supplies of food. We got really lucky and are now set up with our Power 5 book, or our Power 5 librarian at the villager outpost to trade us those books, so we can always now be set with our bows. Look at that. Good start to the episode. Always like getting some ancient debris. Oh, it's a double, too. And since all that dragon fighting and whatnot, we have come to the Nether and are now very busy, or will continue to be, pushing this tunnel out. And I would imagine most of this episode is going to be spent in that effort. We want to take this out to, what do we say, like 2400, something like that? Negative 2400, I believe. And we are currently at negative 1750. So another 700 blocks or so for this. And what that's going to do is set us up so that tomorrow, when the new content arrives, we are ready to just pop on through this tunnel and be in those chunks. So we're basically just saving ourselves, endlessly going through a two tall, one wide tunnel on our way out. This way we'll be able to kind of run a little bit. The one thing that we thought of yesterday, when we say we, I know you guys were along for the ride as I remembered it. I don't know that I have much of a supply of obsidian, if at all, in our goodie box. We'll check that once we get out, but we may have to then go back to base and reload. Probably want to do that anyway, although I think our goodie boxes are pretty well stocked. But yeah, we want to just make sure we are fully loaded out and ready to go for good exploration. One of those things would be possibly topping off our rockets, where I know we've done a little bit of creeper farm running, so we've got some gunpowder, and could maybe convert all that so that we can do a little fly around. But yeah, just, a little bit of that kind of stuff here today. And I don't think we're going to end up going too crazy with the number of episodes today. This one, maybe one more. But I want to be kind of fresh and ready to go tomorrow when that does come out. And I'll have to look. I don't know what the timing is on the updates. Do any of you guys know when that when that becomes available. Is it different for different regions, or is it the same time for everybody? I recall there having been Tuesday morning updates in the past, but what those look like, I'm not certain of in real time. I guess one other thing I maybe need to do, I haven't yet, not for any real reason other than there hasn't been a need for me to do it, but I have not switched the launcher to the new version that, you know, Microsoft's got the little banner on. I don't know. The only real things I see is that, like, you know, it ties into the universe of Microsoft Game Pass and all that kind of stuff, which means nothing to me. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you have or haven't, and if you've had. Okay, we're going to do this very slowly and carefully because it's early today. Alright, there we go. Now we'll pick up all these. So in the goodie box, I particularly want to put that ancient debris away and make sure it doesn't get lost. And then here, might as well get those. And that's about it. Alright, now we'll just face away. We don't want our shulker to randomly decide it wants to shoot forward. We'll set those up. And boom. Okay. Now we go back into stone mode. Just real quick, gonna drop these two. Those. And how far are we making on that little bit? 1800? Yeah, just barely. Nice. Alright, 600 more to go. See you when we strike land. Of course, Ghast making its noises as soon as we head out. To be expected, though. That's why we use the stone. If anybody doesn't know, if you just use the netherrack that you're sure to get a lot of, the Ghast fireballs will break those if they strike. Here, we're not too worried about the Ghast fireballs, other than they may slow us down by knocking us into the lava. Lava slime remain that bigger threat if they drop on us, or you know, we just cross over into a biome where they're going to be at and start hitting us. One, they can knock us into the lava, and two, the big ones can just pile on the damage very, very quickly. So doing this over long distances, that's the big concern. When I'm playing like this in hardcore is, oh, when am I going to get that surprise bump? But not too terrifying, really. Ooh, look at that. And we're across. set to get more flint for Franny. Let's just cap this. All right. Tidy these up just a touch. Now, just to ensure we are good, 0 is still in the middle, so I didn't accidentally put that on the wrong side of the block. And now we go back. This gets too wide, which makes us feel even better, and then we'll come back one more time. When we do get to that far side, we'll probably need to throw down the stone box to get a few more stacks. Yeah, so kind of the calm before the storm a little bit here. And I don't know how much to expect. I heard little bits and pieces, but I haven't played any of the snapshots. I haven't really gone out of my way to study what's new or not. We've talked some about some of the upcoming changes to the extent that I know about them. And for me, the most fascinating is the build height and depth of the world changing. No longer will negative 64 be the deepest part of the world. It will go, I don't remember the numbers, but significantly deeper and have more of a spread over where you'll find various rocks, ores, that kind of stuff, right? So that will have bearing on everybody in the game. That's just the way it is. The other piece is the lighting. And I'm sure some of you are more aware of this already than others, but again, I don't know all this. I don't know how it affects or what the differences are, but the word on the street is that mobs will only spawn at light level 0, meaning if you go through a cave and drop a torch, we kind of, when we're getting started, we go along and if I'm in my base or anything like that, I'm dropping a torch with 5 blocks of light or 5 blocks without a torch in between, and then putting down the next one, making a grid of those. That kept everything well enough lit to prevent mobs from spawning in between. Notable exceptions, right? We'll cover those, but my understanding is that now, you could determine that the 5 blocks was about right, because if you went and stood between them on the F3 screen, the light level would drop down. And you could set it at 7 or 9 or whatever you wanted to be safe, and you would know that no mobs were going to come in the middle of those squares, right? Now, that value can go all the way down to 1 in the middle of those squares, and that would be as early. So imagine how much bigger those squares become inside a base or a cave or anything else. I don't think it's a bad thing, particularly among hardcore players. There's a big knee jerk that, oh, there's all that lighting is going to ruin it. A hardcore will never be the hardcore that I want it to be. I think it will be. I think everyone will adapt much more quickly, and the biggest change will become how quickly a mine or an abandoned mine or a cave or a ravine or anything uses up your torches, right? You'll be able to go further and explore more on a single stack of torches. At least that's the way that I'm looking at it right now. And that could change. Who knows? But personally, I like, it's been presented as you won't need as much lighting in base builds, and that certainly is a factor, right? I know Microsoft and Mojang itself, they're no dummies. They understand that they've got a product, right? And they see the numbers. They understand how to go in and evaluate and go like, okay, well, we would throw most players into this category. They know that from kind of the buzz on, what do people do on SMPs and all that? Where are the most views of various streamer types or YouTuber types, TikToks or whatever? What's the most appealing content? And it always has gravitated to building. Just, it's why Legos are so popular, right? It's the same. You can enjoy survival mode, you can enjoy hardcore mode, whatever, but everybody likes to go and have that control to build their own house or shape their own thing. Everybody's got to build a castle, everybody's got to do this, that. Just kind of in our nature to do so. So, I think in that sense alone, having the amount of light needed to keep an area clear of mobs is a good thing. Personally, I kind of feel like, man, I'm doing it again. Like they're kind of shooting off light sources before they really got, candles and things like that are just becoming a thing. I feel like I've hardly used them at all, and now it's like, oh yeah, you don't need nearly as many. So in that sense, I guess I'm kind of slacking, but in this play style, that's a little bit expected, I guess. I'm okay with it. All right, let's go on this outer edge. So, yeah, I'm not all up in arms. I think most of that. Look, you see this cycle go a few times, and you get used to it, right? When the videos come out at Minecon or whatever, I can't tell you what the latest video teaser is from this past summer. But when those come out and tease, hey, this is coming, that's coming, the very first reaction always is, "Oh my god, they're ruining Minecraft." Just, I don't know why. It's that shock and like, "Oh, they're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it." Always. And then the first snapshot comes out, and the next reaction is, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever." Right? So, and it follows content creators driving views, right? So if you guys want to get views and you want to get into the cycle, the first thing you do is you know shout out the videos and then outrage over the mobs that were chosen, outrage over which parts they're going to actually focus on updating, and outrage over the colors that were on the set that they used to record everything. It's crazy. Then you go super hype that snapshots are out and that you're the first to be seeing them along with 100,000 other people, but you're the first. And then you immediately turn it around to say new content destroys game, right? But by this time, all that starts to go away again, right? Because now everybody's going to catch tomorrow's hype wave, the little bit that it is, and that's what I kind of wonder about is like how much of a hype wave is there when everybody's been watching and playing the snapshots. I know personally, I'm going to be thrilled to be playing and kind of going. Ooh, we should deal with this head on. Looks simple enough. Yep. Always gotta hope you're on the right one. All right, a little soak on that to let it end. So, yeah, I think I've said before. I wonder how many of those people that were so hype early are still hype now, and I wonder. Oh, just saying, I wonder like that. Got that. I wonder who wrote the Book of Love song from the 50s, whenever it was, stuck in my head. Almost done. This was a slow little section. So much to do, right? So, yeah, I guess we'll see. I think there will be hype. we'll get to change our little title thing to say 118, and expect 118 to become 118.1. I don't know, within a matter of 2 weeks, let's say, because despite all the snapshot play, there will still be things to fix when they bring it out. So, come on. I didn't want to go over that far. Just falling in. Alright. This section. Got a lava fall up there. Get a little bit of a glare this time of day in the winter for light. I don't know why I'm falling off those so easily. You can't crouch on the edge of soul sand. You'll just fall right off. And I know that, but the stone, it's like it's ice. It's like every time I try to hang on the edge, I just slide right on by. Anyway, another snack. Then we'll go on this side. Edge off from that lava fall. Alright, let's do this section. These little soul sand chunks are no fun. Not a bad little section. I don't know why I was going back. Sorry, kind of into a zone of placement. Like I said, it's early still. Also, is everybody, now that Thanksgiving's gone, everybody like feeling the pressure start to build around the holiday season? Are do you even look forward to a Christmas holiday season, or is that outside your faith and nationality? Is it not a cultural deal where you live? Very much here, to the point a lot of people are like, when does it ever stop? But I think everybody said that all along, right? Probably back in Civil War days, people were like, man, can you believe how commercial Christmas is getting now? I don't know if there's any legitimacy to that, but, that would have been the time when Dickens wrote his Christmas Carol in like 1880s or so, and 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, right? All those kinds of things actually came before the 20th century. So, what some of our collective memory, which are the earliest Christmas movies and things of the 50s, that's kind of where all of our collective memory begins. And, it's people my parents' age that still remember any of that. And, their generations aren't going to go. Already we've seen World War II survivors no longer really exist in living memory. Kind of veteran age from the wars themselves. Some of the folks that were children during the war still do. My dad was one who was alive as a young boy during World War II, but doesn't have an adult's memory of it or anything like that. Just that he was young. It seemed scary. He had to go live away from the city. He didn't live in London, but city in England where he grew up, and live out in the countryside because you know guess what? In a country where you're actively being bombed, and it's going on for years, adults and parents need to be where they live to keep things moving and working. Whether you're a soldier or not, you gotta kind of do your bit, right? That's the British thing. Do your bit to keep everything flowing. So, if you're a mailman or a trash collector or a fire person, which would, but, supplying food, baking bread, all those kinds of things are all still important and needed to happen. Or if you worked in the cities, guess what? That's where all the factories and things were. So those had to keep going. And so, yeah, there's bombings happening, but not everyone could just go run into the countryside and live in a tent. So, very much like the Chronicles of Narnia, the movies, I think the books too talk about it a little bit. It's been a long time since I read the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first ones. But I think that was the premise of the kids going out to that country house. And my dad told me the same thing happened for him as a child. Basically, they went to he and his brother and sister went to a place out in the country, and I think it was I don't know, more or less I don't think it was like, the stately manor house of an old lord and only occupied by one family of children. I think it was kind of regulated, if I remember the stories correctly. And it wasn't like they were isolated, although rationing was a deal. So you didn't get the option. Hi there. We've got this. Let's just go ahead and pop it on. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Now you can hang out. We'll have to worry about hoglins a little bit through this section. We don't have our hoe. We'll see if this just goes underground. If it does, then we won't worry too much. Definitely want to break the vines. Anyway, so we were kind of talking about Christmas and older school stuff. I don't know how I got onto that. Oh, the just the living memory of stuff is passing. Right, but yeah, my dad definitely had such an experience, and clearly it was one of the big deals as a kid for him growing up. You know, nothing could compare to the fact that there was war on that scope, and he, like I said, I don't think that they were. Excuse me for the big yawn. Like I said, early morning, no caffeine yet. Um, I don't think he was cut off from his family, in the sense that they probably had post and were doing regular letters and all that kind of stuff. But there was not the fuel to just, every weekend or anything like that bounce back and forth. So for his mom and dad, particularly, because I don't think they were bringing the kids back in. You didn't take the weekends off from the Blitz. So anyhow, they got by, but that's a memory that he still has of his own life, and when I hope it's a long time from now, he's still vibrant and kicking in his 80s, but he he's younger, wouldn't have been old enough to have been a teenager even during the war years, much less served. So those people would now be in their mid to late 90s at the earliest, and those would have been like that, the guys at 16, 17 that were sneaking out to join the army. They're they're all respectively in their mid to upper 90s or hundreds, and there just aren't that many of those people around, right? So it's natural, and so obviously we don't have the people with living memory to the ties of when A Christmas Carol came out, when The Night Before Christmas was published, how people who, heard the news of or spread the stories of World War One and meeting in the middle of the trenches in no man's land to sing Silent Night, right? Those have become legendary epics for us, but what was the response in the moment to those kinds of things when they came out? Now we got a lot of. I don't think I'm gonna bother putting that all into chests. Even that, we can get more if we need it, right? All right, and I'm gonna leave the tree for just a moment. If when we go back all the way through, I may pull the axe if I think of it and have it ready to go to clean all that up. So yeah, we think of things like A Christmas Carol and The Night Before Christmas as just being like, oh yeah, those are amazing. It would have been crazy to, how awesome would it have been to have those come out while you were there? And certainly, Christmas Carol, I think a lot of folks are aware, but if you aren't, here's your little literary history lesson. Since it's Monday, I think everybody's off fall break and back to work and school. So a little knowledge. Most everything that Charles Dickens wrote was in serial. He was really one of the first mass media kind kind of entertainers in our sense. Now, newspapers were not a new thing. They had been around, and within them, columnists and cartoonists in particular had been already kind of getting that little bit of celebrity as we would recognize it. Ben Franklin, who wrote his newspaper in his little printing shop thing. I can't think of the names there, but he had a slew of characters that he wrote as and kind of adopted styles. A little old lady, an ambitious tradesman kind of stuff. He had all these little archetypes that he wrote columns as, and so kind of made pseudo celebrities out of things like that. So there was certainly the concept wasn't there, of being a known figure, but the difference, I think, in the serialization of novels and stories that were then published weekly or monthly or whatever, I think generally weekly, was that you had this anticipation of what's going to happen next. It wasn't just commentary. It was, okay, this is going to be ongoing, and I'm waiting for the next Tuesday or whatever day it might have been, eagerly to see what happens next. Soap operas, and that kind of stuff all grow out of that legacy of a cliffhanger. And what can we see? I view this a little bit, but a lot of YouTube web series as building on that popularity. I think it is, as streaming goes through this kind of adolescence, right? And I'm talking the big boys, Prime and Netflix and HBO and Disney and any of those. They go back to the model that has worked all this time. They begin, as it starts out, they start with serials. Oh, you can now watch on your own time whenever you want? Great. We're going to release The Bounty Hunter or any of those on Sundays at midnight. And you don't have to watch it then, but you can bet everybody's waiting for that day for it to come available, right? It's the same deal of building up hype and buzz for what happens next and building in those cliffhangers. And successful YouTubers do that all the time of, hey, we're going to keep going. We're going to have continuity. That's why I I kind of recap what we've done before, and I preview what I anticipate will be coming next, subject to the whims of Minecraft and my own indecisiveness or change of decisions. But yeah, it gives that engagement and that, oh, I don't want to miss that feeling coming through. So Christmas Carol was just, happened to be a holiday theme on a already prolific publishing type at that point. The media as it was huge into these serials. That was how writers got paid, and it was how newspapers and things kept their subscription up. And it was honestly one of the big parts in actually getting wider spread literacy among adults and things, particularly in cities. In smaller towns and countries, you'd still probably have access to the same newspapers, but they'd be delayed, right? you might get them the next day. And again, I'm talking just before leading up to the beginning of the 20th century. So, before Prohibition and mobsters and the Model T and all that kind of stuff, you've got, what would be a fairly recognizable modern world to us, but it's still dominated by horses and streetcars and steam engine railroads and that kind of stuff, as opposed to automobiles and all that. And literacy was not widespread. Child labor was still a deal. Certainly a 6-day work week was expected if you had a good factory job. So there would be things we would look at as strange. And one of the most was that this idea of compulsory education, that if you may drop out of high school these days. Some people do. Not as many as was in the past. That I believe continues to go down. Maybe COVID changed that a little bit. It's one of those socioeconomic realities that poor communities and families tend to value education less. It's a shame, and with COVID and all that, as we're talking about, mask up, what are my kids going to do? Do they get to play sports in lower income communities? For a lot of families and kids, it's, oh, why am I going to, wait around and do school remotely? Half my friends, left before high school anyway, and I'm going to go get a job and get paid. There's money to be made during this COVID stuff, right? People are afraid to work. So I think that might have had a negative impact, but I don't know. I'm not a sociologist or anything, but that would seem to me to be a logical extension of some of the impact of COVID on communities. One that doesn't get talked about at all in the news, right? We might, one, offend, two, not even think about it because we're being told the masks are the story to go. But you know what? What does change in the background when people start making decisions about their future when things like COVID are present? But that's way off track for what we're talking about, which is what I believe has always been present idea that, Christmas comes too early now. Christmas is too materialized. Nobody remembers how it really used to be. Christmas used to be so much more meaningful and all that. I think that's a bunch of phooey. I think parents have always said that to their kids, or, establishment versus A, people that want to make money, and B, people that just want to have fun and enjoy it and don't already have memories of their own that they want to sanctify. And that's how this all turns back into Minecraft discussion. So don't worry, it's still there. This probably means that we're about out of time for the episode, though, because that's how that always works to me. By the time I get around to my point, we're done. So Dickens and all those, right? Dickens, and I don't know who the person was that wrote the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem. I apologize. Probably should know that. Anyway, they would have been writing at a time when the dominant cultures in Western Europe and the United States were Christian. Yes, there was already religious freedom. Yes, there were certainly vibrant Jewish communities in the United States, and I believe in countries of Europe, but they, by and large, in what media there was, newspapers and whatnot, unless it was a community newspaper of those people, it was just ignored, right? Like the assumed audience was Christian, and the assumption there was, especially coming out of England, more so, but it was regionalized in the United States. You went to a particular type of church. If you were in England, that was the Church of England, right? It just kind of there. Now there've always been dissenting religions in the UK, and they still exist. And now I think, like the US or anywhere else, they are thriving and vibrant. But yeah, back then, the media itself took a lot more religious sensibility into what it published. And where I'm going with this is, and I think younger viewers may not even really be aware of this. It used to be that church groups could come out and say, "We don't like the message that you're portraying in this show. It's a negative influence on children." And in the U.S., at least, to some extent, there was government, although government was always more concerned with, the Red Scare, communists, all that kind of stuff. Like, we want the American ideology protected and represented, and you're not going to step outside of that. But there was also very significant religious pressure, and the Council of Churches, or whatever they called themselves, would go out, and if children's programming in particular, but whatever it may have been, if they said this is a negative impact, there would be blocks of advertisers that would pull. Much like Twitter today. Everybody says, "Oh man, there's too much knee-jerk. It gets after it." Well, it used to be the same. There were less visibility and less voices, but the 150-year-old versions of Karens would come out and write letters and meet for lunches or whatever with their friends and go, have you heard what so and so showed on a show or said on the radio? My kids came back saying this. We have to do something about it. And I'm sure there was a lot of that kind of reaction when both Night Before Christmas and Christmas Carol came out. I mean, Christmas Carol, not only does it not say anything about Jesus and the actual nativity and Christmas and the religious significance of the holiday, it talks about ghosts and a spiritualism that was popular at that time that had no direct tie to Christianity and was frankly threatening to it. So yeah, this was hot edge stuff, and I'm sure that as much as we look back at those as classics, and your parents may go, "Oh, the new pop versions of Christmas carols, why can't we just go traditional and listen to some Bing Crosby or some of those?" And I know myself and everybody else, those were already old and weird kids, but that's part of the deal, right? Their parents had listened to those people turn Christmas music on its head, right? It wasn't just hymns anymore. They were recording these ballads and songs that painted this Norman Rockwell kind of idea of Christmas that spread then from America back through the world. And they kind of then feel, "Oh, well, I grew up hearing those and I want to defend them." And they they become less sanctified as the volume every year. Stars are putting out Christmas albums, right? They're easy money, but every year that further increases the number of songs there are to listen to. And so those classics get further diluted. They never really go away, and that's something to be aware of. They're always just kind of out there, but there's so much else causing pressure, or competing for your listening or viewing or whatever, whether it's movies or anything, that the lists always grow. And over time, those must-see classics don't become must-see anymore, because there just isn't enough time to see everything. And frankly, with more choices, you get better quality. That's just the way it the way it works, right? Um, what the like 50s claymation Rudolph, right? It's a classic. It's warms and fuzzies and all that kind of stuff. And your parents and people my age or whatever are all like, "Oh yeah, we gotta watch that. It's a classic. I remember watching that as a kid." Yeah, you remember watching it as a kid, and it was on TV all the time because there was nothing else, and that was the reason. It's cute. It's sweet. Little claymation Rudolph is fun to look at, and oh, who's the miner guy in the Frosty that looks for the um, looking for gold in the snow? Yukon Cornelius, right? He's dancing around and singing and all that kind of stuff. The abominable snowman's out there, and the dentist elf and all that, right? It's all cute and it's all fun. But honestly, those movies are kind of garbage. I hate to say it. It's not there, but you can CGI up some animatronic type looking stuff and probably flesh out the story a little bit more and all that kind of stuff. Not that they do, right? I'm not just saying, oh, new stuff is automatically better because it has graphics. No, those people, because they had to pose and arrange all that stuff, the story relatively got a lot of time, but there was a lot of time to work on the story and think about why is he getting posed this way when we got to do it. When you just run a computer program, story, well, we'll knock this out in 2 weeks. Well, why would we want to bother with any of that? So it's not a free pass that everything new is great, but new stuff tends to be better than we initially give it credit for. And so far, this is the big comeback with Minecraft. So far, everything I've seen, at least going back to 12, I think, hugely awesome, and no knock. Now, just like everybody else, I'm concerned every time that they're gonna, break or ruin the game that I've enjoyed so long and so much. But yeah, I think that's just clinging to what we know and is familiar, not based in any kind of real reason to fear. So we'll see. But I expect any people that have been offering hot takes about how the new release is this and that, and might do that. Tomorrow, you'll expect them full on hype because they're not going to want to miss out on all the eyes pulled towards the new content and the excitement in having it. Okay, we've talked for a while. I think we're I think we still got a little bit of time. No, we don't. How did I get started before the top of the hour? We are at an hour. Real quick, we are at 2396, so we almost made it. I think we're still going to cross this ocean, though. Why not? In the next episode. So stay tuned. Let's put this one to bed. Get back up here and give you guys a thank you screen because I really do appreciate you. And if anybody hung out to listen to all of the Christmas memory incoherent ramblings, hey, I'm glad. If you did, go check out A Christmas Carol is free downloads. I know on my Kindle or whatever. You can go read it. It's short and quick, and the language is a little different, but it's not that bad. Night Before Christmas, same deal. I think that one's universally out there as well. More go see if you can just check out on the interwebs and read a little bit about how those things came to be, and think about are there Christmas series or things like that are developing in your favorite medias that you think might hold up and become the memories when you're sharing them with your kids 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? I don't know how old or young you guys are, but yeah, it's fun to sometimes take a step back and look at how all these changes are. And when you hear somebody screaming, "Oh man, the stores and all this is so," just laugh a little bit inside and understand that all that stuff is cyclical. When they were excited watching TV specials or something like that, their families were going, "Oh man, we've all lost it." Remember, we used to sit around every night and not do anything, and people played their own music, and we sang along for Christmas. Oh, who does that often anymore? When it's all on the radio, and we can listen to professionals do it. So anyway, take care, have a blast, enjoy your warm up to Christmas, but most importantly, enjoy this Minecraft 1.18 Eve. We'll see you next time. Bye now.